Books on Tape presents The 7 Stages of Motherhood, Making the Most of Your Life as a Mom, by Pleshette Murphy. Read by Cassandra Campbell. Introduction. Motherhood. It's the defining event in a woman's life, a seismic transformation, a path we travel forever. But most of the literature on motherhood neglects the mother. We're coached on the how-tos, not the why-me's. We're encouraged to stand in our children's shoes while our own shoes gather dust. As we learn to read our kids' signals, anticipate their needs, and accommodate their demands, we rarely take the time to reflect on where we are or where we want to be. The result is that even the most confident mom often feels unsure of her footing. And those of us who aren't so sanguine worry that we're headed in the wrong direction entirely, dragging our children along this path toward God knows where. When Maddie and Nick were babies, I devoured every childhood development tome I could lay my hands on. The fact that I was editing the leading parenthood magazine in the country gave me access to the best and the brightest among baby experts. Doctors Spock and Brazelton were on my speed dial. But rarely did a day go by that I wasn't painfully aware of my rookie rating. Second-guessing became second nature. I was great at giving other people advice about bedtime rituals or picky eaters, but I routinely spent 2 hours trying to get Maddie to bed, even resorting to crawling out of her room on my hands and knees to avoid making the floor creak. With Nick, my been-there-done-that status helped a little, but the first boy in a long line of Pleshette Murphy girls made it clear from birth that he was composed of a completely different set of chromosomes than his sister. For every stretch of road I felt prepared to walk, there were 4 unexpected turns that brought me face to face with my own insecurities. When I left parents to write this book, Maddie and Nick were 13 and 9 respectively, and I was the parenting contributor to Good Morning America. Viewers who emailed me questions routinely addressed me as Dr. Murphy, conferring a degree of expertise and a credential I hardly deserved. But I did have decades of cumulative knowledge. Not my own, but that of the hundreds of moms, child development experts, and researchers I had met and interviewed over the years. If there was one thing I learned, it was the simple yet ironic fact that motherhood is the great equalizer. Become a mother and join a sorority that bridges millennia and miles. But as much as we all have in common, each of us is unique, and as quickly as our children change, we do too. The mother your baby knew is not the same person 10 months, let alone 10 years later. Child number 3 experiences a different mom than the one his older siblings knew. And, of course, the entire family evolves and develops along with each child. As Erik Erikson observed in Childhood and Society, this weak and changing little being moves the whole family along. Babies control and bring up their families as much as they are controlled by them. In fact, we may say that the family brings up a baby by being brought up by him. We watch our children grow and change at a furious rate, panting to keep up, or, if we're lucky, to stay one step ahead. And in so doing, we develop muscles, new ways of thinking, and a whole new self-concept. One eminent psychologist characterized our evolution as a kind of contained vertical progression, a building that grows taller but remains solidly rooted in place. Our children, on the other hand, are always pushing outward and away. While children move themselves as individuals separate from their mothers, women evolve from one maternal identity to another, writes Rosika Parker in her book, Torn in Two. Thus they move from being a mother supporting a head, to a mother pushing a buggy, to a mother holding a hand, to a mother waving a hand, to a mother waiting for a hand to hold. But always a mother. Theirs is a vertical development compared to their children's more horizontal growth away from them. No matter how we choose to characterize our maternal development, We accept that we'll never be the same, that there's no going back. Yet our children want us to remain the same, to be that predictable, unconditionally loving anchor they need to cling to. Sometimes we can pull it off. When the storm clouds gather, we're there, unchanging and available, giving of ourselves in ways we never dreamed possible. But there are other times when our own needs must come first, or when our ability to be flexible and empathic is undermined by anxiety, fatigue, anger, work, other relationships, past hurts, or all of the above. How do you attend to your own developmental needs at each stage of your child's life? And why is that so important? That's what this book is about. I want mothers to realize that every stage of a child's life presents specific challenges, and there are good, bad, and better ways of handling those issues. But it's only by turning the telescope around that you can focus on what's really important. Knowing thyself is never more critical than when those 2 little stripes of pink show up in the plastic window. One of my favorite illustrations of this comes from Nature's Thumbprint, a book on identical twins and the age-old nature-nurture question. The authors describe identical girls separated at birth and raised by very different moms. Interviewed about their girls', then 2.5, behavior, one of the mothers complains bitterly about her daughter's eating habits. She won't touch anything I give her. No mashed potatoes, no bananas, nothing without cinnamon. Everything has to have cinnamon on it. I'm really at my wit's end with her about this. The other mother, asked about her daughter's eating habits, replied, "She eats well. As a matter of fact, as long as I put cinnamon on her food, she'll eat anything." We don't have to put cinnamon on everything to raise happy, healthy children. But we do have to spend as much time, or just enough time, on our own physical, emotional, cognitive, and social growth to make the most of the years we spend raising our kids. And those years will fly by so fast it takes your breath away. Mothers with older children will tell you that when you stand on the bridge you've built and watch your children cross over and away into adulthood, you'll experience the pain of regret along with elation. You mourn the moments that slipped through your fingers and at the same time realize that very few of the mistakes you made really mattered in the long run. One thing is certain. If you happen to glance into the water below, you'll see a reflection that is formed, dissolved, then formed again by countless memories cast like pebbles by the children you love. The 7 Stages of Motherhood. Stage 1. Altered states. Pregnancy, birth, and the 4th trimester. I was 31 when I became pregnant with our first child. From the moment my obstetrician gave us the good news, I began to fantasize about our baby, to picture myself as a mother. The hazy sonogram image I carried in my wallet, the fetal heartbeat, those first fluttery kicks, changed my sense of who I was and who I was becoming. Long before my husband, Steve, and I settled on our baby's name, Molly, I had turned a dramatic corner. Just how sharp that corner really was, I would discover in an agonizing way. Molly died 2 days after her birth, tearing a hole in our lives. Even though I knew that I could have done nothing to prevent her death, which was due to a highly rare form of intrauterine growth retardation, I suffered profound feelings of worthlessness and guilt. During the succeeding weeks, Steve and I held on to each other, sharing our sadness and loss. Then Steve returned to work, and I recuperated at home. As the news spread, a love tide of condolence notes poured in from family and friends, colleagues, acquaintances, people we saw often and others we hardly knew. I found myself reading and rereading every word, whether a multi-page letter or a treacly Hallmark card. I hoarded the notes, counted them, organized and sorted them. Opening the mail became a kind of obsession, the one pastime I craved during an otherwise desolate period. Only when I was...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?